Good morning. As I mentioned in yesterday's lesson, we were going to have a short Zoom session so that we can go over some last-minute problems before you take today's quiz. I also want to finish up our lesson from yesterday, so let's get started. I'm going to go over the following problems with you, so I'm not going to explain these or give the answers to this first slide, but we'll do a couple translate, a couple name that property, we'll classify a couple of real numbers, we'll simplify, we'll evaluate, and those are pretty much the topics we said that we would encounter on today's quiz. But to finish off what we started yesterday, we were solving equations. We started off with just one inverse operation, one-step equations. We went into the two-step, which required either a combining like terms or two inverse operations. We even looked at the multi-step where we had a distribution and then inverse operations. I just want to do two quick problems of the simpler type, and then when I want to get on to the variables on both sides. So let's take a look at some of these problems. In this first one, it is a multi-step because it has those parentheses, which tells me I'm doing some distribution. This is a good review also for the quiz because distribution came up in our properties. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 4 is 8. One step down, now onto the inverse operations. Let's subtract 8 on both sides. Finally, we'll divide by 2. Look at x is equal to 16. Now I mentioned doing a check, and sometimes it'll be required. So I'm going to replace x with 16, and that's going to give me 16 plus 4. And I want to know what this equals to. Well, 16 plus 4 is 20, and 2 times 20 is 40. So we see that it checks. The second one is only a two-step one. We're going to subtract 2. It's going to leave us with 7x is equal to 3. And we're going to divide. The reason why I did this problem, because I wanted you to see that when we're solving equations, we will get decimals, fractions, as well as whole numbers. Anything in the real number system is a possible solution. And on to now that variables on both sides. I decided to give you the steps and do one step by step, writing the transformations. These are called the transformations. The transformations are going to be written here so you know how I got from one step to the other. Looking at this problem, it's different than all the others that we've done simply because there are variables on the left, 7x and 5x on the opposite side. Step 1 is always to collect your variables to one side using inverse operations. I generally collect them where they're greater. It doesn't matter really if I go to the left or the right. I'm going to subtract this 5x as my first step, and as you see, that's what I wrote in my transformation. Subtract 5x on both sides. That leaves me with 2x minus 9 is equal to 11. I'm now going to use my inverse operations. I will add 9 to both sides. I now have 2x is equal to 20. And divide. And this time I want to divide by 2 to isolate the variable. And x is equal to 10. Once again, I don't have the space here, but if I were to put that 10 in here, I'd have 70 minus 9 on one side, and I'd have 50 plus 11 on the other, and I'll see that it balances. Let's do one more. Again, I see variables on both sides. If I think back to the directions at the top of this slide, it tells me to collect my variables to one side. I have a 6x and I have a 1x. Let's subtract 1x on both sides. I now have 5x plus 4 equals 39. Now, if you think that the next step would be to subtract, you're right. We'll subtract 4 on both sides. That simplifies to 5x is equal to 35. One last step to isolate our variable. Let's divide by 5, and x is equal to 7. Once again, if I were to do the check, I have some space here. Let me show you the check. I have 6 times 7 plus 4 on the left, and I have 7 plus 39 on the right. If all goes well, this will be the same on both sides. This gives me 42 plus 4, which is 46. And I have 39 plus 7, which gives me 46. It balances, it works, I've done it correctly. Now I'm going to stop here because there is more to these variables on both sides. So far, every equation that we've encountered has one and only one solution. Well, that's going to change next class. So good luck on your quiz and have a great weekend.